Hi, and welcome back to another episode of HatchNOW. I'm Nour Ahmad, and today we'll look at how retail stores are trying to survive during this pandemic, as well as how nursing homes are trying to keep things normal for their residents. But first, regional towns in New South Wales have seen a significant increase in tourism since the lockdown restrictions have eased. We talked to Annika Baker to see how this has impacted the community of Mudgee. Annika, how has the tourism been affected there?
The tourism has totally exploded here in Mudgee. It is super busy. All businesses are, having super high peaks. We've seen businesses having to extend trading hours and locals totally abandoning the main street on a weekend to steer clear of the amount of tourists that are here. So the tourism here in Mudgee has been fantastic for local businesses. It's been a really huge influx.
What about the community? How have they taken this?
Yeah, the community's really excited, especially all of the local businesses who suffered through the drought for so many years and then had to close. Some businesses had to close for COVID as well. So this is really fantastic for the local economy and small businesses here out in the region of Mudgee. So the community's really happy about it. I had a chat to Brendan Foote from Alcordo Wines about whether or not their business has had to adapt due to this huge influx in tourism. So take a listen to what he had to say.
With the recent influx of tourism into Mudgee, it's really important for the people to serve the tourists that are coming in to stay open for 7 days a week to ensure they get a good experience while they're here. We've been open 7 days a week since the June long weekend.
So Alcordo Wines has had to actually extend trading hours to 7 days a week just to accommodate the amount of tourists that are coming to the town.
Is the pandemic playing a role here, and is there any concern at all?
Look, there is a little bit of concern here in the town. However, everyone's really excited about it. It is a little bit of a double-edged sword. Everyone's thrilled that there's been some influx into the economy here in Mudgee, but then they're also a little bit wary that, there are so many tourists coming from Sydney and all over the place. And what will happen? What will be the outcome if, COVID gets back into the small town of Mudgee, and whether or not they might have to go back into isolation? Who knows? But at the end of the day, the community of Mudgee is really thrilled to see this amount of people come out and explore the region.
Thanks, Annika. And now, onto the childcare sector, where the government help has come to an end and families have now had to return to paying. Erin, how will families transition to yet another change?
Well, it's going to be different for every family. I had a chat with Daryl Kabigting, who not only is a childcare worker, but she's been living with two of her siblings and their young families during this time. She told me about how, just as parents have been taking children out of her workplace, her siblings also made that decision to leave their children at home, knowing that they'll be safe and not contracting or even being carriers of the virus, instead of taking up this rare opportunity for free childcare. Especially with a sister-in-law who is pregnant and her other nieces and nephews who are all primary aged and younger. Now that the benefit is over for parents, then parents have made that choice. It's more common now to see that choice of children going back to childcare, just because they do need to get back to their schedules of being able to go to work and provide for their families during this time.
How do families see this exercise? Do they see it as a well-executed plan?
Well, no, it's been a mixed response across the board. For parents, this is a rare opportunity to have your child go to childcare for free. However, there is the risk of your child potentially contracting or being a carrier of the virus in such a social environment. In an interview with Channel 10, then the CEO of Childcare Alliance, Chang Lim, did say that while parents were receiving 100% of payments waived during this time, or during the subsidy, then childcare centres were only receiving 50% of that. So it has been quite a mixed response.
Thanks for that. Erin Assur there with that report. With online retail sales rising during the lockdown and more stores forced into closure, what will the industry look like in the future? We talk with Mia Alcordo to find out. Mia, has the pandemic created a financial crisis here?
You know, there really is an air of uncertainty when discussing the retail sector at the moment. However, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, retail trade figures have certainly displayed an increase across the country. Around this time last year, there's been an 8.5% rise in sales, which is great news and the right type of boost the retail industry needs during a time like this. But with that being said, while apparel, medical supply and homeware retailers are booming, not everyone is experiencing growth. You've got department stores and specialty retailers in shopping malls that are quite vulnerable at the moment. Paul Zara, the CEO of the Australian Retailers Association, said, and I quote, "While figures show a healthy appetite for spending when restrictions are lifted, we can't read too much into the June data because the economic situation has changed dramatically in recent weeks." So basically, Nour, what he's trying to say there is, while there is a silver lining at the moment, there's still monetary concerns because of the pandemic.
And how is e-commerce playing into this? Is it a friend or foe?
Yeah, good question. Will it be a friend or foe? Honestly, at the moment, we don't know for sure, but current data proves that online sales have elevated and not slumped one bit during this pandemic. Online shopping has grown about 72%. And at the moment, there are plenty of retailers really choosing to immerse themselves into e-commerce and are really focusing and investing in ways to improve a customer's online experience and also adapting to consumer demands, of course. The click and collect option is also becoming a lot more popular. But even before COVID, e-commerce was a popular choice for consumers because of its convenience. But at this stage, Nour, it's uncertain whether e-commerce will actually dominate the retail industry in the future.
When the stimulus ends, will this change how consumers buy?
Again, it's really uncertain, but it's fair to say that the extra money coming into people's bank accounts have absolutely contributed to everyone's current spending habits and led to plenty of shopping sprees. And in the coming months, the extension of government supplements will help retailers and consumers, but the continuation of financial support is undetermined at this point. And with concerns about more coronavirus outbreaks and cases across the nation, retailers are only left bracing for their next move.
Mia there. And now on to Ashley Riordan, who has looked into the situation with nursing homes. Ashley, what's the morale like there at the moment?
Well, as you can see, I'm standing in front of Frank Whitten Nursing Home and the car park is practically empty. These residents are living in complete isolation with no family allowed to visit at all. The OH&S of Frank Whitten have brought on COVID marshals to do full checkups of anyone who drives into the driveway, and the staff also have to go through certain check lists before they enter the premises, such as getting the temperature checked and wearing a mask. I spoke to a few of the residents here, and surprisingly, none of them are really living in fear. As one of the staff members, Virginia Van Niekerk, said, the residents are constantly watching this news and keeping up to date with what's happening, so they understand what's going on, but they realise that compared to other nursing homes, they are in a good position right now.
What about the nursing homes? How are they trying to help the residents stay positive and keep their minds off of the pandemic?
Well, the staff are doing everything they can to help the residents get through this time. They are playing games with them, putting on movies, having long chats with them, and they've even set up Zoom calls so the residents can actually see their family members rather than just hearing their voices over the phone. The residents still have to live by strict rules, such as no more than 2 people at a table while they're dining, but they understand what's happening and they're just waiting for the announcement that everything's back to normal again.
Thanks, Ashley. On to the Sydney restaurants, where the customers there haven't been following the health rules set out. Mariam Sarhan looked into this. Mariam, what has the customer response been like there?
Thanks, Nour. Unfortunately, customers are making it harder for restaurants to keep the dining rooms open because customers are failing to adhere to keeping a 1.5 metre distance. I spoke to the owner of Fat Panda in Sydney Southwest. She has raised concerns in that opening for dining may pose a health risk not only to the patrons but to the workers there.
With people not following these rules, how much is it going to cost these restaurants?
Well, no, it's going to cost these restaurants a tremendous amount. The owner of Sahradi Cafe in Liverpool has lost about 80% of business, and the owner of Afra Cafe in Greenacre has lost about 7%.
Thanks, Mariam. Can traditional and digital art coexist in this digital era? Talya Jacobson finds out for us. Talya, how have the arts changed, and are traditional methods still relevant?
Absolutely, art is still 100% relevant. And in fact, now more than ever before, it is so easy to reproduce your paintings in the form of prints, making it more accessible to a wider audience. Like most industries, artists have had to adapt to changing technologies, and so many of them have taken on the form of digital art to add to their practices as traditional artists. An example of this is Katie Marie, who runs an online store called Katie's Canvases, where she sells her paintings, prints of her paintings, digitally drawn stickers, and custom-made works.
How are artists getting their work out there?
Well, no, it's all about social media. Traditional artists Megan Moai and Katie Marie use TikTok to share behind-the-scenes videos of how their art is made, as well as how they pack their orders and sell their work. I spoke with Sydney artist Danny J, who runs an online store and Instagram page where she creates relatable content in the form of digital art. Here's what she had to say.
To be honest with you, Instagram is bloody difficult, especially because of the algorithm and stuff. You're only exposed to 5% of your audience. And keeping in mind, if you have, let's just say I've got 8,000 at the moment, hardly any one of those is seeing it. People used to get a lot more exposure, but now it's very, very difficult.
So, Nour, as you can see, social media isn't as easy as everyone thinks it is due to the oversaturated market and difficult algorithms platforms like Instagram present.
What are the general thoughts about the future of traditional art?
Well, having spoken to a number of artists, it is believed that art will continue to thrive in the modern-day format of art exhibitions and installations. Whether or not they choose to express their ideas in traditional formats or new ones is ultimately in their hands, and so is the future of art.
Talya there with that report. And that wraps up this episode of HatchNOW. I want to thank all of our reporters and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.